the great thing about working in television is that when you're on a show for a handful of years, and I've been on 2 different shows for 5 years apiece, all the writers get to know all the actors pretty well, and if it's a collegial environment, they'll come by, they'll have lunch sometimes with the writers. That I'm on a show now that isn't even on the air yet, and all the actors have come by and met us. And when you're able to get to know them, at its best, it becomes kind of an organic process, which is to say, you put things in the script that almost to sort of make fun of them in a friendly way, or things that they've said to you, or things that mirror or contradict things going on in their lives. And I've heard of shows where actors have serious disagreements about the arc of a character, or there are arguments or disagreements. But in my experience, everything I've ever worked on, the writers usually don't know too far ahead of time what's going to happen anyway. And you're all sort of following the story together. So I've been maybe lucky to be part of a pretty collegial process. I know there probably are situations where, an actor gets a script and feels it isn't true to the character, and sometimes they're right about that. But my experience has been it's all part of a family, and there isn't so much of a need for those sit-downs.
Just so you guys know, I started my career as a makeup effects artist. I did it for 14 years professionally and worked on about 40 films, from like the lowest budget Roger Corman films to the highest budget. Like I worked on some of the Batman films, and I worked on a lot of the Farrelly Brothers movies. It's really interesting. There is a lot of things that actors, because especially when you're dealing with like prosthetics, or dealing with creature suits, there are things that are really can be a challenge. And if you're going to deal with effects artists, you got to realize that as you guys have talked about getting up early and getting prepared, just to be prepared as an actor. A lot of effects artists have to get to the set can be 4 to 5 hours before the rest of the crew's call time, depending on how elaborate the makeup is. I actually had to do one application that took us 6 hours to do. It was, oh my God, this poor actress. I mean, it was from here down, actually, sorry, it was from here down to, down to here. But what's very important if you're gonna work with effects artists and gonna wear prosthetics, you have to understand that as much as it's, and you want to be social and be gregarious, that they need you to stay perfectly still at times, because they're trying to apply, a mask that's supposed to blend into your face, and they can't do that when you're talking. So it's very important to, listen to them and listen to their instructions, and not, impede the progress.
You don't have to be an actor to be a stand-in LA. In New York, an actor, you get training, you do theater, you do a commercial, you do background work, you do stand-in work, you do a commercial, you do a play, you do a speaking part in something. So actors do everything. You take any kind of job you can get, and you're an actor, no matter what you're doing. You're doing background work, you're an actor, you're real. You do what if you're playing, like when I played on ER, I would have to say to people, if you went to a hospital, is that the way you would act if you were visiting somebody? Would you go behind the nurse's desk? Would you touch things like that? I mean, this is playing. You're pretending to be something. And a lot of background didn't get that. And I found out when I moved here that people who do background work, some of them aren't actors. A lot of them aren't actors. And they don't want to be actors. They're just in it because they think that somebody's going to discover them, and they might make all this money being an actor. Or it's an easy way, because you can show up, sit around, drink coffee, snooze, do nothing at all day, but you're not learning anything. For people here, when they tell me they want to be an actor and they're doing background, I said, well, then take it as a paid schooling. Take everything on set that you can learn. Watch everybody do. Know what everybody does, but also everything you do, try and find something real. Be real when you're doing a scene. If you're walking from here to there, do something real. Do something you do in your real life. Run your hands through your hair. Do something.
My goal was always to be an actor, but I wanted to know what I was doing. I wanted to know what it felt like to be on set. So I was in elementary school, high school, and I wanted to know what I was doing. And my parents are scientists, so And what I mean by that is my parents, so I have a sister who's a doctor, and I wanted to become an actor, and my mom said, well, if your sister has to study 9 years to see what is visible about the human condition, what about you, who we don't understand everything? And oh, great. So I saw 15 years ahead. She had already put her price tag on the thing. But I would say that there's so much psychology behind all these sets that are being put together that, for me, it was such a learning curve to go from the extra work and then study, really study. And then the first time I got my first line, I remember first line, I remember my fifth line, I remember every single step. Nothing has been handed to me. I wish it was, though, but it hasn't been. There's something to be said about the work that you put into the process, because you have no idea what it takes to write it.
Basically, I, as a director, what I'm looking for with an actor is somebody who won't bury me on the set, so that that somebody's going to come in and know their job. A professional actor is going to come in and deliver the goods, and whether they're there for 5 days, 1 day, 5 minutes, whatever, create a character, and I'm not going to have to go, oh, Jesus, now what do I have to shoot around this, or somebody who's not prepared. And my biggest pet peeve are actors who come to work and don't know their dialogue. And it's a common thing. And if people, they've got their little sides here and they're reading it, and it's like, that's, know your lines, know your dialogue, backwards and forwards in 16 different ways, and be prepared to change it. And if the writer or the director comes in and just, switch this around, drop this line, switch it over here, and he's like, okay, done, And that's our job. And a lot of people, I think today, it's a little more casual when people, I sort of get it. I used to see it on the West Wing a lot, where it had to be, the punctuation had to be exact. It's not a comma, that's a period. Okay.